Hey everyone, Dan here, just going to get set up. So let's see if we can build up an audience for a minute or two here while I put out some announcements. Here we go, get that. Let's see if we can build up an audience for a minute or two here. Well, get that out there on Twitter. All right. Oh, we already got somebody watching, so we're going to just kind of get ready. Going to start exactly at 7 o'clock, but we're going to cover the news and then talk about the new episode. Get you guys ready for tonight's new episode. Tonight, tomorrow. I know people on the East Coast hate me when I say tonight because, well, for me it's midnight. Still, I consider that tonight. Where for everybody else, it's like, East Coasters, it's 3 a.m. And, well, that's got to suck. I don't know if I could make it till 3 a.m. I probably would because, it's a hell of a show. And I did it for The Mandalorian, and I'm probably going to do it for all this other stuff too. But we'll get things rolling here in just another minute or two. I hope everybody's doing well. The weather's starting to get a little better. COVID's starting to get a little more calmed down. So all of that is good. Let me go ahead and bring in the share screen. There we go. I like that format better. There we go. Okay, we're going to kick off in, like I said, just another minute or two. See if we can get a few more people on here. And then we'll start talking about everything new and exciting having to do with Marvel, DC, and other genre stuff. When I say industry news, I do mean Marvel or, the movies and stuff that kind of fit together, Marvel and DC, G.I. Joe is one of the things we're going to talk about, stuff like that, Star Wars, like I said, the genre stuff. So, alrighty, getting close here. Hope you guys are excited. Going to have your questions ready. Going to go through the news, and then we'll start the questions. And we're going to hit some topics and kind of just catch up and see what's going on. There's a lot of interesting theories out there now. A lot of rumors and spoilers that are supposed to be out, or not really spoilers, but leaks. The leaks are interesting. There's some interesting ones out there, and I don't give them a lot of credence because some of them are pretty wild. Some of them feel like fan theories. But they could be. That's the thing about them, is that they absolutely could be legit, and that's what's interesting, is that some of them are pretty out there, but you never know. They might be true. So, all right, we're going to kick things off. Here we go. Let's go ahead and start the news. It's just about 7 o'clock at night, which is when I would start this. So here we go. We're going to start with the image on the screen right now. We've got teased yesterday, a couple days ago, about Spider-Man 3. We got some set photos. As you see here, we've got Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Batalon, who played, of course, Peter Parker, I guess MJ, and Ned. Never quite got figured out what her name is, but the love interest. But MJ. So they gave us this photo. They also gave us this one, which, let me bring it up a little bigger. There we go. So you see they're kind of in this creepy looking basement. I heard someone say they think this is actually Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorum. I'm not sure if I buy that or not. But so these are some photos they put out. So we're seeing that they are filming now down in Atlanta. So the idea that Jessica Lawrence is hello, Ashley. Good to see you. So the idea that Jessica Lawrence has joined the Marvel Universe as Sue Storm doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because they're saying she's going down to Australia to film the movie, but the director for the Fantastic Four movie is currently in Atlanta filming Spider-Man 3. So it doesn't make sense that she'd be actually part of the show or the movie. Now, Could they have cast the Fantastic Four? They're going to introduce them in Spider-Man 3? Absolutely a possibility. But again, it's filming in Atlanta, not Australia, which is where Jennifer Lawrence is supposedly headed. But with these photos, each one of the cast members, Tom Holland, Jacob, and Zendaya, all released a different possible title for Spider-Man. First up, we had Spider-Man Homewrecker, which I think is a hilarious title. We had Spider-Man Phone Home to tap into the E.T. fans. And of course, we had Spider-Man Home Slice. Now, you'll notice that all of them have the word home in there, and that's been the one consistency in all the Spider-Man movies. Is Spider-Man Far From Home was the last one. And of course, the first one was Spider-Man Homecoming. So they're certain it was going to be Spider-Man Home something or something home. And finally, they did give us this cute little video with the three of them in it. And we got Spider-Man No Way Home as the official title for the third Spider-Man movie. Now, that's important to anybody watching WandaVision because that's the next part in the current story. WandaVision is the start of the story. It'll continue in Spider-Man No Way Home and then conclude in Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. So you definitely want to keep an eye on this. Now, the other neat thing they did was in the video, they showed this whiteboard. And there's a lot of neat little things on it. A lot of jokes. You see different things on here. Like there's down in the bottom left corner, all the way over here, it says Far From Home. They're like, we already did this. And then we got over here, Spider-Man Home Alone. This is copyright issues. No Place Like Home. Trademark. Want to Go Home. We're already there. Work From Home. Please no. Home Sweet Home. Gross. Close to Home. Too close to home. Now, also, you'll notice a lot of these little hexagons on here, and we're all like paying attention to hexagons because of WandaVision and the hex. But those are actually the drawings of chemical compositions. So this has to do with the web formula that Spider-Man uses. So I wouldn't put those up as those are DNA sequences or chemical compounds. But so this is a neat little thing. You got Iron Man's chest repulsor up here. You've got the flux capacitor because everybody needs that. An actual tesseract, it looks like, drawn here, which of course was one of the Infinity Stones. But Spider-Man Homesick, that's kind of funny. Homeschooled, Spider-Man Homeschooled, Aunt May says no. So there's a lot of funny stuff on there. It was a cute little video, and it was a neat way to introduce the titles. But we have it now, Spider-Man No Way Home. All right, moving on to the second piece of news. This has to do with the DC, is the announcement of a Blue Beetle film with director Angel Manuel Sota, who did Charm City Kings. He'll direct the Blue Beetle film for Warner Brothers from a script penned by Gareth Dunnett Alcocer. Sorry if I'm slaughtering his name. But he did Miss Bala and the Scarface reboot. Now, Blue Beetle has been around since 1939 when he was created by Charles Wachowski. And he's bounced around from different publishers. I think he started with Fox and ended up at Charlton and finally ended up in a DC buyout. And in 2006, he's been three different characters over history. But now in 2006, Keith Geffen, John Rogers, and Collie Hamner rebooted him to a Mexican-American teenager named Jaime Reyes, who bonds with an alien scarab that turns into battle armor and he can go into space and stuff like that. So it's an interesting character. It's based in El Paso, Texas. It gives you a look at the character. That is the Blue Beetle. I think it's pretty interesting right there. Now, like I said, this current design is the one by Keith Geffen, Collie Hamner, and John Rogers. If you're not familiar with them, Geffen is big in the comic industry, as is Collie Hamner. John Rogers also worked on television shows like Leverage. So there's some good background there on creating the character, and then Angel Manuel Sota will be doing the directing on it. Now, there's no idea exactly when this will be coming out, but it's nice to see, God, no other better way, a non-white hero, a Hispanic hero in a lead of a movie. I want to see this do well. I'm looking forward to seeing the Blue Beetles as a fun character, and I look forward to seeing this one. It should be kind of similar to the Shazam vibe. So if you liked Shazam, there's a good chance this is going to have a similar vibe. A little older than Billy Batson, but in that range. All right, moving on to the third story. This has to do with Owen Mcgregor. Now, you may not recognize him back here, but that is Owen Mcgregor, who seems to have been working out a little bit. He's getting pumped up there. And, of course, his next thing he's filming is Obi-Wan Kenobi for a Star Wars series. Now, what we know about this series is that it's going to be directed by Deborah Chow. And Deborah had worked on the Mandalorian series. She did some of the better episodes, including the third episode and the seventh episode in season 1. The third episode being where we got all the Mandalorians coming to the rescue after Mando goes and gets the child. And the seventh episode, the penultimate one of season 1, where they get trapped by Moff Gideon and all the stormtroopers and stuff. So those were Deborah Chow's episodes. She also appeared as a pilot, in an X-Wing pilot, in the 6th episode, the one we met, Bill Burr's character, Miggs Mayfield. So the one we meet, Miggs Mayfield. So she's going to be running the show. And also we're going to get Hayden Christensen coming back as either Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader. We're not sure which, but it really depends on when it's set. Is it post-Clone Wars, pre-Clone? So maybe this will take place when, Kenobi's hanging out on Tatooine, keeping an eye on Luke. We'll have to see. After that, the news came that we got an official release date for Loki series, which will be June 11th. Now, that kind of got interesting because that's kind of far out there. We got WandaVision wrapping up in 2 weeks, and we got a week off where we're going to get a behind-the-scenes video and hopefully a couple legends introduce, kind of catching us up on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then we have 6 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which should wrap up right around the end of April, which means there's about 5 weeks in there that we don't know what's going to happen. We weren't sure what was going to happen. We now know. And then we were going to get Loki. So Loki here stars Tom Hiddleston from the Thor movies. It'll also have Owen Wilson. I'm going to kill this name. I'm so sorry. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Sophie Del Martino, Wunmi Mosaku, and Richard E. Grant. The series is going to be directed by Kate Herron and written by Michael Waldron. And this is going to be a fun series. It's going to be a lot of time hopping, dimension hopping, the Time Variance Authority. Also, they've already talked about a second season for Loki, so they're pretty excited about that. But now to get to the answer, what's coming in between, that is going to be a Star Wars series. We're going to get the animated series, The Bad Batch, which is a follow-up to the Clone Wars. And this, of course, focuses on a group of clones that are all genetically different. And we meet them in the Clone Wars, but this is the follow-up. So this is going to be a 4-episode series. It'll debut on May 4th, which is weird because it's a Tuesday, but if you're Star Wars, you don't pass up on May the 4th. So that's Star Wars Day. So they're going to release the first episode on May the 4th, and then each week after that, which will give us a 1-week break, and then Loki. So the Bad Batch is coming, and the Bad Batch will also have Fennec Shand, the character played by Ming-Na Wen. Here's the animated version of the character, and she'll be in the series as well. Now, how exactly the character connects, don't know. And it seems like there's quite a bit of time difference, so this must be a very young Fennec Shand. But it'll be fun to see. All right, we're going to move on here to another story. This has to do with Kevin Feige. And there's been a lot of rumors about Kevin Feige and his feelings towards the Marvel television series. Not the ones he's doing now, the Marvel Studios ones, because there was Marvel Studios and Marvel Television. Marvel Studios was run by Kevin Feige. Marvel Television was run by Jeff Loeb. And there was a split between the two. And there seemed to be some bad blood. Now, I'm not sure exactly all the details on it, but Marvel Television was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, all the Netflix series, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Defenders, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and it was also the Inhumans. Now, that's one side. Also, Cloak and Dagger and The Runaways. Marvel Studios, their television shows now consist of course, WandaVision, the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier, the upcoming Loki, What If, all those are Marvel Studios, and that's now controlled by Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is now in control of everything. Comics, films, television, it's all Kevin Feige. So there's been a question about whether or not he actually likes those. Now, there was rumors that, or it said that he liked Charlie Cox Daredevil. He likes Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, and he liked John Bernthal as the Punisher. But that's, there wasn't a whole lot else that he talked about. Well, at the Television Critics Association's winter meetings, that's where they get together and talk about upcoming series and stuff, he was asked if he thought that what was it about the way he's doing the series now is making them successful where the previous Marvel series weren't successful. And he got his dander up at that point. Now, it was kind of like one of those moments of, I can pick on my brother, but you can't pick on my brother. And I think that's what happened with Kevin, because he immediately went, well, hang on a second. Let me see if I got the quote here. He says, I think there are legions of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans and Daredevil fans and Jessica Jones fans and Luke Cage fans who would disagree with you. So basically, he came to their defense saying that about the idea that these shows weren't successful. And you know what? They were. The Netflix shows were highly successful. They were big draw for Netflix. And I think the only reason they're not on the air anymore is because Disney Plus started a competition. And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ran for seven seasons. I mean, that's a pretty good success. It wasn't the most popular show, but it was, and I know it was got mixed feelings. I liked the show. I watched all of it. Agent Carter was really good. Cloak and stuff on Hulu was good. So I like the fact that Kevin Feige is defending them. And also there's the rumors that Charlie Cox will show up as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man 3. There's also the rumor that Kristen Ritter is going to reprise her role as Jessica Jones in She-Hulk. So, and there's always a chance Charlie Cox will show up in She-Hulk too. It's a show about a lawyer. So there aren't a lot of prominent lawyers in the Marvel Universe. There's Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, and Matt's partner, Foggy Nelson. So it would be good to have them in the show. All right. And I think we got one more news story we're going to cover. This just came out today, and it ties back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a sense. There are reports of a G.I. Joe television series in the works at Amazon. Now, this series is set to focus on the character of Lady J. Lady J was introduced in the movies, played by Adrienne Palicki, who played in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Bobby Morris, a.k.a. Mockingbird. She was once cast as Wonder Woman in the pilot for a TV series that never made it. So, but there's no guarantee that she's going to stick around to play Lady J. It's just who played her in the G.I. Joe Retaliation, I think was the movie she was introduced in back in 2013. Now, what we do know is that Eric Olesen is the one putting this together. Now, Olesen was the head writer on Man in the High Castle. He was also the showrunner for the third season of Daredevil. Now, like I said, this is supposed to be a standalone story and not necessarily going to tie into the movies that have come out. Maybe, we'll see. But, Lady J is their undercover operative, so maybe it'll be more self-contained where we just focus on her instead of all the other G.I. Joe characters to start to rebuild the universe, which is exactly how the Marvel Universe started. They focused on Iron Man and then Hulk and then Thor. They didn't try to pull a DC thing and went, we have Superman, then we have Superman and Batman with Wonder Woman, and then do Justice League. Build your characters. So maybe they're trying to do a shared universe for G.I. Joe and are going to focus on some of the individual characters. I think that's a good idea, at least to start. All right. Now we're going to move into talking about WandaVision. And this is where we're going to hit some of the characters and stuff. And if you guys got some questions, you got some thoughts, want to share some of your ideas, feel free to jump in at this point. I figure first good place to start talking is Pietro. Now, if you're not caught up, I'm going to be doing some spoilers here. I'm going to be talking about the things that we have seen up through episode 7. And this is a pre-show for episode 8. I had episode 7 on the thing, which is horrible. It's actually episode 8 we're doing a pre-show for. I'll have to fix that. But for some reason, I had that 7 in my head all day today. But it's actually episode 8. So we met Pietro in the end of episode 6. He was around, or episode 5. He was around for all episode 6, the Halloween special. And then he wasn't around much in 7 until the very end in the mid-credit scene where he pops up and he's got his funny little hat on and he says the classic line of Snooper's gonna snoop. Now, there's a lot of questions about Pietro. And going into it, what we're wondering now is why Evan Peters? This is the Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men movies, not Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played in the MCU. We saw Aaron Taylor Johnson in the previously on WandaVision segment, so we know that he's not the right one. And all of last episode, they referred to him as the fake Pietro, or that man's not your uncle. So people don't believe that, it's not passing that he's Pietro. So who is he? One of the speculations is that he might be a character named Nicholas Scratch, who is the son of Agatha Harkness. And of course, the big reveal was Agatha Harkness was Agnes. So could he be Nicholas Scratch, who's a sorcerer and who turned on his mother a few times? And maybe he's the rabbit, Mr. Scratch or Senor Scratchy? I think it's a possibility. It's interesting that they cast Evan Peters. Now, there's always a chance that Evan Peters is actually the big bad. There's a chance that he actually is from the X-Men universe and they pulled him over. I mean, that's the neat thing about this show is that there's so many possibilities that could happen that we really just don't know. So that's Pietro. I'm hoping we get a little more information tonight. Now, I'm going to go into it thinking that tonight's going to be a bit of a flashback and a filler episode, in the sense, not filler as in wasting time or just, useless to the plot. I mean, giving us some details. You know how episode 4 kind of filled in a bunch of information? We did 1, 2, and 3, and then episode 4 came along, and it was just all the information we needed, and answered a bunch of questions and asked questions we'd been asking and set us up for the rest of the season. Well, I think this episode is going to fill in a lot of questions and set up the big finale. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. There's supposedly almost 2 hours of series left. If you go by Matt Chapman's original thing of it being a 6-hour-long series, we are under 4 hours at this point. So conceivably, there's 2 more hours of story. Whether that's true, how accurate that is, we don't know. I mean, it is a quote from him, how much they've cut. But it could be we get another 38, 40-minute episode and then just a huge episode to wrap it up. Because originally they said it was going to be an 8-episode series. Now it's going to be 9. So there's also the possibility that this is going to be an hour long and the next one's going to be an hour long. We'll have to find out as we go into it tonight. But there's supposed to be a lot more of the series left, not just 2 35-minute episodes. Now, the other thing we got last week, which was I finishing my thought there? What was that? Yeah. All right, moving on to Monica. Now, Monica looks like she got her powers. There's some speculation whether or not she had some powers beforehand and that maybe just going through the barriers unlocked them, that she's got, because that's still kind of the question with Wanda. Did the Mind Stone give her and Pietro powers, or did the Mind Stone just unlock the powers they already had? Were they mutants that just didn't have their powers unlocked until the Mind Stone? Is this the case with Monica? She had these powers latent in her genes, and going through the barrier 3 times has pushed that to the forefront. I don't know. I kind of think that she's the only one to go through 3 times, and that it possibly thrown in with the fact that she got blinked or blipped or snapped, that maybe all that combined is what's given her powers. We're going to have to find out. But she definitely seems to have the powers starting. Now, how good she's going to get with them, how quickly she'll learn them, that's going to be remain to be seen as well. She's seen the electromagnetic spectrum, which is what the image right here is showing, and she's able to convert energy, and that's how she stopped herself from being thrown to the ground. How much more of the powers will she be able to throw? Some light, some energy bolts, stuff like that. We'll see. I think that there's a good chance she and Wanda are going to have to work together to stop Agatha and Quicksilver, if that's how it is. I mean, I think she's going to play a big part in the conclusion. And then she'll also play a big role in Captain Marvel 2 when that comes out. So expect to see a lot more of Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. Now, one of the big questions coming out of the episode has to do with that book. Now, there's a lot of speculation on which book this is. You look up magic books in the Marvel Universe, there's a bunch of them. The most popular and the one that most people assume this is the Darkhold. Now, is it the Darkhold? I don't know. The Darkhold was prominently featured in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., also in Cloak and Dagger. Neither of those series are exactly canon. We don't know where they exist right now. I know they were canon when they were created. How are they still canon now that Kevin Feige's in charge of everything? So is this that book? There's other books it could be. It could be the Necronomicon. Also, it does have kind of a, somebody said it looks like two sling rings from Doctor Strange. And that's a good possibility too. It could be that this book is the Darkhold, which is where vampires and werewolves come from in the Marvel Universe. It is the Book of Chthon, who is another big bad that could be involved here. There's a lot of possibilities. So it could be the Darkhold, and that's kind of the big debate right now. Is it or is it not the Darkhold? Because if it's not the Darkhold, there's a bunch of other books it could be. But if it is the Darkhold, that is kind of the top book in the Marvel Universe. But it doesn't look like that in the comics, in all the other shows. It's got a completely different setup on it. It looks like it's almost writing across the front of it. So, I mean, this could also be the Ironbound book of Shumagorath, which is almost an H.P. Lovecraft style creature with tentacles and kind of a big squishy thing that is written on actual pieces of iron instead of paper, and it's a very powerful book as well. And Shumagorath is another possible character that could be the big bad, if there is a big bad. But the other thing to keep in mind is if you go back to the Doctor Strange movie. Now, someone was nice enough to circle this one. I pulled it off the web. I'm pulling somebody else's photo. But you'll notice that in the Book of Sacred Texts, this one here that's empty, that's the book Caecilius ripped some pages out of. And this is where Strange was actually playing with the book. So that's why that one's empty. This one is empty. Now, is it the missing book from here? Is it from Carmotage? Should the book be there? Will this be what brings Doctor Strange into the story? Or how Wanda ends up with Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness? There's been talk about Doctor Strange cameoing in this series ever since the beginning. So it's possible it's from here. You'll also notice, just ironically or not, that the little cage setups that hold these books are all hexagons. Yep, more hexagons. The other interesting thing is the basis for magic. Now, Doctor Strange and those characters from Carmotage like Wong, Mordo, and possibly even Agatha use what's known as Eldritch magic, basically tapping into the old ones, chaos sources and stuff, or not chaos sources, but the magic of other. They borrow magic from these powerful gods. Wanda is said to be using chaos magic that Doctor Strange at times have said there's no such thing. So he doesn't quite understand where she's getting her magic from. So her abilities aren't the same as Doctor Strange. So that's also an interesting angle that they could play with. But where is that book from and which one it is, that's going to be a big key question. And who it belongs to, that ties into who, if any, the big bad is. Which brings us to Agatha all along. That's right. Agnes was Agatha Harkness, which was probably the worst kept secret. But they kept giving us little things saying, nope, nope, it's not. Nope, nope, she's good. Nope. And a lot of people know that the character at worst in the comics is gray, but, you know, usually is on the side of good, was a nanny for the Fantastic Four when their first son was born, helped Wanda bring the kids about, and showed her how to use the magic to actually impregnate herself. She was a mentor for Wanda. So a lot of people are hesitant to think of her as the bad guy in this. There's some speculation that maybe she's actually trying to help, that Wanda is the one that's going crazy and she's trying to guide her back to sanity. She was a big role in the birth of the kids, also a role in Wanda dealing with the fact that the kids weren't real in the comics and disappeared. And Agatha actually made her memories of the kids disappear for a while. And then when they came back is when all hell broke loose. So the kids have always been a turning point for Wanda. And I think that's going to be a big thing in Multiverse of Madness. We'll get to the kids in a minute. But so Agatha, the other question is, if she is the bad guy, is she the bad guy? Or is she working for somebody? Does the book belong to somebody? Does she work for Mephisto, who is one of the most popular guesses? Mephisto being basically Marvel's devil character. There's also Nightmare, a guy who siphons life force off of people in their nightmares. Or Chthon, kind of another ancient guy who wrote the Darkhold. Or Shumagorath, or God, there's a lot of magical demon or magical bad guys that could be the boss. It could even be Dormammu, who was the bad guy in Doctor Strange. You know, Dormammu, I've come to bargain. So it absolutely could be Dormammu. And that's the problem, is that it could be any of them. And it could be all of them in a sense. Marvel has histories. Let me bring in what Andrew said here, which is interesting. I think Dottie is behind the bad stuff using both Wanda and Agatha. All right. Yeah, Dottie's still an X factor here. There was some similarities to a magic user in the Marvel Universe named Arcana, or Arcana Jones. So that's a possibility. We haven't seen her much since. She's never shown up on the sword whiteboard for identification. And Agatha did say that she runs the town. So yes, there's absolutely a good chance that there's much more of Dottie to deal with. And it could be that Agatha's trying to help. They could both be in the same coven, and Dottie could be trying to do the bad things, and Agatha's trying to stop her. I mean, God. This is a show that we're 2 episodes away from completing, and it's still wide open. There's so many directions they could go, and so many rumors and speculations and theories and leaks, and oh my God. I mean, you listen to some of the online leaks, and I laugh like crazy. I listen to them just, in case there's anything that seems plausible or whatnot. But I've heard everything from Magneto and Professor Xavier are going to show up at the end. That the one I heard today is that we're going to get a second Vision. I mean, just crazy stuff. And the scary thing is that they're all plausible. I don't know if they're all possible. Yeah. All right, Andrew, bring that up now. And all this is all about the power of the twins, since because they are immune to Wanda's power, they might be made of the same energy of the Power Stone. All right. I 100% agree that all of this has been about the twins, Billy and Tommy. I think that she has been pushed to have kids by everybody from the beginning. For the children, even though there was no children in the town. Agatha was trying to give her tips on seduction. I mean, everything was pushing for them to have kids. So absolutely. I think Billy and Tommy were the whole purpose of the hex. I don't believe Wanda created the hex. I think we're going to find out tonight that she showed up in the hex. I think there's some footage we've seen that has her in color and a black and white Vision saying, "Hello, Wanda." I think that's going to be when she first appears. I think Vision was already in black and white and brought her into the world, or was part of the world. And I think this whole hex has been for them, for these kids to be created. And in the comics, the purpose of the kids being created was to bring the big bad through, whether it was Mephisto, Master Pandemonium was involved. I don't think we're going to get Master Pandemonium. I think he's kind of a silly-ish character who at one point had the children in place of his fists. I don't think we need to see that on television. Plus, the kids are much older than they were in the comic version. They've grown up, the rapid acceleration of their age. And Andrew believes that Doctor Strange is going to show up in the last episode. Again, absolutely plausible. I mean, and I think that one's actually likely. I don't think we've seen the big cameo that they've talked about, but I don't think Doctor Strange is the big cameo. Paul Bettany talked about, and we're going to go ahead and jump to the cameo. Why Westview for all this? And why Westview for all this? And who is the person Jimmy Woo was looking to talk to, which brought him there? That's right. Well, he wasn't looking to talk to somebody. He was looking to find his missing witness that he couldn't get in contact with. So there is still the missing witness that has to be answered. And there's still the engineer. I mean, come on. This isn't the engineer that they were building up to. This is Major Goodner. I think she was just delivering it. Could be wrong, but I think we still got the engineer cameo coming. The engineer appearance coming. I still think that's going to be a Marvel character. My guess is still the Blue Marvel, Adam Brashear. And yeah, lost contract. Oh, Ashley jumps in with, she thinks the creepy mailman is the witness. And that is possible. That is absolutely, there is something about the mailman that is weird. And if you'll notice that in the last episode, he was now working for a delivery company instead of the mail company. And the name of the company was Presto, which is, I believe, the second most popular magic word after abracadabra. There's Presto Changeo. So there is something there. Also, where was he taking all those boxes? Who was getting that many deliveries at once? I mean, that was a lot of boxes. And I never see them with a dolly. That was weird. So, yeah, I absolutely think that there's something with the mailman. I don't think there's going to be a reveal. What it is, again, could be anything at this point. This is Mephisto, by the way. If you haven't, character on the screen, that is Mephisto. If you don't know who you think he is, I still think we're going to get a big bad cameo. I think we're going to get a big bad. Agatha, is she the villain? Is she trying to help out? Is Dottie the villain? Is Dottie the big bad? All of that's possible. But again, I go back to Paul Bettany talking about a cameo of an actor he's always wanted to work with. And people have said, well, Benedict Cumberbatch, they had no scenes together in the Avengers movies. They were on different planets. And that is absolutely true, except Benedict Cumberbatch and Paul Bettany worked together on, I don't remember the name of the title thing, but it was Paul Bettany playing Charles Darwin. So Benedict Cumberbatch was in that movie. So they've worked together. Also, people have been like, oh, it's going to be Ian McKellen. It's going to be Magneto's going to show up and he's Wanda's father. Well, Paul Bettany and Ian McKellen worked together in Da Vinci Code, which also doesn't fit the thing that Paul Bettany has said. Paul Bettany has also said it's not Doctor Strange and it's not Evan Peters. So there's still a big cameo supposedly coming up with scenes that Paul Bettany has that are supposed to be, that he thinks are really great. And as an actor, he's always wanted to work with. So again, I don't think that's Doctor Strange because he's already worked with Benedict Cumberbatch. And he flat out said that Doctor Strange is not the cameo that he is talking about in an interview, I believe, with Esquire recently, this last week. So I lean towards Al Pacino because of there being talks of him talking with Kevin Feige. And I think that's a huge Luke Skywalker level. I've also, this is a fun one that's been popping up, is since Nightmare is another possibility of a villain, that's getting a lot of traction because Nightmare was originally talked about it being the villain for, Andrew just threw me off, Undead Sean Connery. Well, he only died a few months back. There's absolutely, he could have filled a scene. Now, he was retired. I don't see them doing that. But Undead Sean Connery would be a huge Luke Skywalker level cameo. Yeah, especially if he showed up as Ramirez from Highlander. That would be a great, the peacock feather and all. But there's been talk about Nightmare being the bad guy. There was speculation that Nightmare was going to be the bad guy in Multiverse of Madness. So introducing Nightmare here would make a lot of sense since the movies is supposed to connect to the show. And the name they keep throwing out there as playing Nightmare is Mark Hamill. And the reason is that Mark Hamill voiced Nightmare in one of the Avengers cartoon series. So would it be a Luke Skywalker level cameo if Mark Hamill showed up as Nightmare? Yeah. That would kind of count because that's Luke Skywalker level when you have the guy that played Luke Skywalker. Do I think that's going to happen? Okay. I would absolutely love it. I think Hamill is probably the best Joker ever created. And I would love to see him play Nightmare. I don't think so. I think Pacino as Mephisto is kind of sky high, but I think there's probably a little more possibility of that. No guarantee, though. I mean, it could be. I think it's going to be a big name cameo playing the bad guy. It's how we're going to find out who the bad guy is for Multiverse of Madness. And it absolutely could be Mark Hamill. It could. I mean, nobody is really ruled out at this point. But again, I don't think it's going to be any of the X-Men. I don't think it's going to be Patrick Stewart, who has sworn off the character at this point. I don't think it's going to be Ian McKellen because, again, he's already been in a movie, and I don't think they want to bring in Magneto and the X-Men characters. I think the X-Men movies at the end were failing, and I don't think Kevin Feige needs that baggage that comes with him. So, no, not buying that it's going to be any of the X-Men. So I heard someone on one of the YouTube channels made a joke about it being Hugh Jackman, but not as Wolverine. Instead, he's playing the P.T. Barnum character from The Greatest Show, since they turned Sword into a circus, that he's going to be doing a musical number, and that's the only way they could get Jackman to be in the MCU. Maybe as ringmaster. There's an old school comic reach, but trust me, and I would love that. But then I'm a fan of the Greatest Showman. All right, so got the big cameo coming up still. Still think we're going to get the engineer. Still think we're going to get the big bad. Again, Those are my gut feelings. There's no promises, no guarantees on all of that. I will be the first to admit when I'm wrong about something. I still think there's a possibility we're going to get Simon Williams. I'm actually going to bring up, what's my next thing on my list here? Ashley likes my Jackman. This is the greatest show. Yeah. At least on TV right now, it's the top TV show, so it would make sense. All right, we're going to go on and talk about Vision. Now, the rumor I heard today, in the comics, Vision's got an interesting history, and there is a point where he got disassembled, pulled apart, and when put back together, he wasn't quite the same Vision. He didn't have the emotional connection. He didn't have the humanish nature. And that's because in the comics, he was created with the brain patterns of a guy named Simon Williams. That's who I keep thinking is going to pop up, partly because he's a big character in the Vision's history, and partly because there's photos, or there was a video of the writer talking during the making of WandaVision, and there was a giant picture of Wonder Man on the screen behind her. So I still think Wonder Man's a possibility. And Nathan Fillion playing Wonder Man would also be an awesome cameo. Just saying. Dottie as Mephisto. Possible. They could do a gender bend, but is Emma Caulfield really a big enough character and a big enough actress to be a big bad? Maybe. But I mean, Marvel does seem to like to tap into big names or popular names, and they pulled a guy for John Major, John David Major. I don't remember his name, but the guy who's going to play Kang the Conqueror is coming right off of Lovecraft Country, where he's super popular. Josh Brolin is Thanos. I mean, they'd like to pull in the big names to be the villains. So Fillion does have another series going on right now. So him popping up in a cameo as Wonder Man, I think would be, and he's was cast as the character in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, appeared in a bunch of fake movie posters that were supposed to be seen in the film, and then ended up getting cut. But then James Gunn will put Nathan Fillion in everything he does, if he could, just like Sam Raimi puts Bruce Campbell in everything he does. And by the way, there is some filming going on in London for Doctor Strange right now, and Bruce Campbell just happens to be in London. So just throwing it out there. So the thing about Vision, when Vision got his mind wiped and was pulled apart and put back together, he returned looking completely different. He was just, they called it the spectral vision. He was all white. And they eventually fixed the character. But there's now a leak that says they're going to bring in a second Vision. And that kind of makes sense, that Wanda, we see Wanda goes into S.W.O.R.D., but we don't see her actually leaving with Vision. And we know from last episode that Hayward was trying to bring the Vision back in kind of a in an Ultron sort of way, the armor around the world. So maybe what Hayward is going to launch, that he told we're going to, in the last episode he said we're going to launch, maybe it's their version of the Vision who is, just robotic, and they're going to send him in. Maybe we end up with double Vision. And yes, everybody who has a Foreigner song in their head now, you're welcome. All right, Andrew, what do you got for me? It could be a setup so he shows up later in the movie MCU, say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That is absolutely a possibility. Wonder Man in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would make a lot of sense. And like I said, Gunn has been wanting to cast him as Simon Williams for a while now. So and there was a lot of time in the where The Rookie wasn't filming, which is Fillion's show, because of the pandemic, where WandaVision was. They could have got him in there for a cameo. So I wouldn't rule them out. But again, all this stuff is speculation and us having fun, right? So what's the story with Vision? Why did he fall apart when he went out of the hex, where everything else just continued to exist? The jump rope continued to exist. All of Monica's clothing continued to exist. Even the change to the rover continued to exist outside of the hex. And we're now getting into Dr. Horrible. See, you bring up Hugh Jackman in a musical, and then we all start thinking musicals. By the way, Ashley, I haven't had a chance to tell you, there's going to be a line of Hamilton pop figures coming out soon. So you're going to want to save your money for that. They're doing a couple of different characters and also a couple of the girls, too, the sisters. So Hamilton pop figures. All right. So why is Vision falling apart? Why didn't he just stay together when he goes out? Darcy even says, I can't figure out why you can't exist outside the hex. So I don't think this is Vision. I haven't thought it was Vision. The fact he doesn't have the Vision's memory, he doesn't have the Vision's proper power set. Vision doesn't have super speed. I've been saying that since episode 3. This is not the Vision. Who it is, I don't know. I'm thinking Simon Williams is at play, or the missing witness, or something. But I don't think this is a Vision. And the idea that we might get an actual Vision's body being sent in, or, and maybe Wanda can merge them to bring the Vision back. It's possible. I think there's, again, lots of questions. But I don't think what we're seeing right now is the Vision. So I'm really curious what we're going to find out. I think we're going to get a lot of answers tonight. I think tonight we'll get answers. Well, tonight, tomorrow morning, depending. Sorry, Andrew, I know it'll be 3 a.m. for you. But the next episode, we're going to get a lot of answers. We're going to get a lot of flashback. We're going to see Wanda actually go into, because we've seen footage in the previews of Wanda going into the sword facility that wasn't security camera footage. It was actual footage of her going in. We've also seen footage of her, what looks to be first getting into the hex, where she's in color and everything's in black and white. And I think all of that's going to play out tonight as we get some answers. And then there will be the big showdown in the last episode. I think we're done. I think we're done with the sitcoms, and I think we're just going to get answers and move forward from there. Do I think, and Agatha might not be the big bad, Dottie could be the big bad, or Dottie could be working for the big bad, and there is still a bigger bad. Anything's possible. But the other thing, so what happens to Vision is going to be a huge question coming out of this series. Nobody wants Paul Bettany to leave the MCU. He's a great, and I don't think we realized exactly what a gem we had until this season, or this series. The guy is just wonderful, and we need more Paul Bettany. So absolutely, they've got to do something to keep Vision around. Now the kids, on the other hand, that's going to be tricky. Do they disappear like they did in the comics? Do they grow up and become their teenage selves and join the Young Avengers, which seems to be what Marvel is setting up now, with Kate Bishop showing up in Hawkeye, talk of Patriot showing up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the kid from Iron Man possibly being Iron Lad. I mean, they're setting up the Young Avengers like crazy. Recasting Ant-Man's daughter. Those are all characters from the Young Avengers, including these two, Wiccan and Speed. So at some point we have to keep them, or we have to have them around if they're going to do that. But are they going to disappear at the end of this? Or will they age up and survive at the end of this? I think it's possible they disappear and we get them back in Multiverse of Madness. It really depends on the role Wanda is going to play in Multiverse of Madness. If she's the reason everything goes to hell and is causing a bunch of problems, then I think she loses everything by the end of this series. We end up with the most Shakespearean ending possible, where she is alone and losing it and becomes this huge threat. On the other hand, it could be she's helping fix whatever creature does in this, that somehow the multiverse gets ripped open and all this bad stuff is happening, and she has to help Doctor Strange and isn't necessarily a villain. I can see it going both ways. All right, let's see what Andrew's got going for me here. We got Vision is being animated by Wanda's will and Agatha's magic, but the body is still the body. Now, we're not 100% sure she took the body out of thing. I mean, she might have taken it out to one of the speculations is that she took the body from Sword so they couldn't experiment on it anymore. Another is that she took it so she could actually give it a proper burial. So there's a chance she took the body, but she might not have. And if there's a body, why is it falling apart when it goes out of the hex? Is it because Agatha's power doesn't exist outside the hex? Don't know. Andrew also says, I'm still hoping for Letitia Wright as Shuri to arrive with a copy of Vision's mind. We don't know how far she got with that, but it is that is an X factor. And Wanda has to sacrifice them to repower and bring back Vision. Ooh, sacrifice the kids to save Vision. Vision wouldn't go for that. Vision would hate that. Vision would absolutely hate that. His first question to Darcy was, are my kids safe? Whatever the Vision is, he has emotions, he has feelings, and he would not sacrifice the kids. He would not let the kids be sacrificed for him. If she did it without him knowing it and he had to find out after, it would tear them apart. Yeah, I think that's, wow. That's Shakespearean, definitely. We don't trade lives. There you go. Right there. So, yeah. Oh man, this show has potential for ending tragically, because we've got a lead character who is emotionally devastated, not dealing with the pain and her truth, as Monica put it, is suffering, and everything in her life now is made up by magic, and she could absolutely lose it all. She's got her fake brother. She's got her fakely restored husband. She's got her 2 magic-made kids. And all of that could disappear like that. And just, wow, what state would she be in after that? How over the top destroyed would she be? And what would that mean for the MCU? She is an Omega level threat power-wise, and it could absolutely rip open the multiverse. Yeah, there is a chance that this is going to go full on Shakespearean. She's going to lose everything and just set up. My only hesitation for thinking that is we've already seen Spider-Man Far From Home, which takes place 8 months after this TV series. So you would think that there'd be some kind of fallout besides there suddenly being a J. Jonah Jameson and Mysterio talking about a multiverse, even though he's not actually from the multiverse. It'd be hard pressed for us to believe that Wanda tears the fabric of space and time or whatever it is and not have it affect Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, it's obviously what we're going to get Spider-Man Home, No Way Home, which definitely could work into it. But that's going to be interesting to see how they explain all that. This moving things around time-wise is getting to be a mess. So, but if anybody can pull it off, it's Kevin Feige and the Marvel crew. All right, let's move on. We've talked about the twins. Here's a guy I'm still trying to figure out. Director Trevor Haywood. A douchebag. This guy is your atypical bureaucratic, government bureaucrat. And they've spent so much time making him into a douchebag that you kind of want to think that he's not. It's almost too much. They've done that to us a few times. Monica comes out of the hex. It's Wanda. It's all Wanda. No, turns out it wasn't. Well, we just got, it was Agatha all along. Was it? We still got 2 episodes left. Is this guy really as bad as we think he is? Now, is he doing things immoral? Is he using the vision to try to create a safeguard for the planet against the vision's wishes? Yes. Is that evil? It's immoral. But if his motivation is to protect humanity after seeing all these aliens come down to attack. First, there was the Chitauri attacking New York, and then there's Thanos and his big ships trying to beat the crap out of the planet, and there was the attack in Wakanda of Thanos, and all this stuff going on, and there's these super-powered Omega-level people, and there's no more Iron Man, and Captain America is now old and retired. The Avengers seem to be in shatters. We really don't know what kind of shape they're in. And this guy is sitting on for 5 years. Before most of them come back, he's sitting on this amazing android creation that he could experiment and try to create Ultron. And I say Ultron not because he's trying to make Ultron, but because that's what Tony Stark did. Ultron wasn't created because that Tony Stark wanted to make a bad guy. He wanted to make a protector, a shield around the world, is what he said. And Hayward is trying to do the same thing. The problem is, I think Hayward cut corners and is so determined to make the protection happen that he's fearful that he's put himself in a position that he can't let anybody get in his way. If the truth comes out, it's all going to fall apart. He's got a house of cards and it's all going to fall apart. So I don't think he is evil. I think he's misguided and has been doing things immorally that he shouldn't be doing, but he used the vision and now he's trying to keep from getting caught, and he's going to extremes like, well, if he launches a nuke at Westview, then all bets are off. He's kind of a dick. But if he launches Vision in there to try to stop it, or he's got something else in mind that's not killing everybody, then I think he's just wrong, but not evil. So I think there's a lot of misdirection going on in this series, like a good magician. You know, misdirection is a key to magic. And I think that's what we've been getting a lot of in this series. You know, maybe Dottie's a misdirection. Maybe the mailman's misdirection. They gave us Evan Peters' Pietro as misdirection. And we're going to get the answer to everything, but we're supposed to be thinking all of these things. And the reason I think that's plausible is how often is a character in the show asking the exact same question that the fans are asking. Why are all the hexes? Is it scrolls? Why can't the vision come out? All the questions on Jimmy's whiteboard and stuff like that. We're asking all those questions, and then they're asking in the show. And this show was made months ago. So that means they knew our questions, and they've been playing for them. And I think they've been giving us a lot of misdirection. All right, Andrew, what do you got? Let's see. Says, okay, this won't happen, but the surprise cameo is return of Agent Coulson, the LMD version from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to help them remake the Vision. I like it. First thing, anything that brings Clark Gregg back into the MCU, I like. And that's actually Kevin Feige in his talk today talked about how great it was to have Clark Gregg back in Captain Marvel. So I could absolutely see him wanting, because Clark Gregg for a long time was the heart of the MCU. You know, he was the everyman, and we love him. And I could see them absolutely bringing the character back. Does he come in to... I could see the Sword sending him in and him just trying to walk through the thing. And yeah, absolutely. Bring back Coulson. I like the idea. I would give it about a 10% chance, but I love the idea. And anything that brings Coulson back, I am 100% for. All right. Going a little longer than I originally thought, but we're going to keep going here. This is the final, the big one here. What is going to happen to Wanda? Wanda is the heart of this show. She has been made to look evil. She has been made to look just broken. She is suffering. She is hurt. She has had tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And it's more than just the show acknowledges that. It's been showing it's us. The commercials acknowledge her tragedy. The Stark bomb that killed her parents and they were trapped by. The mental, or the experimenting by Strucker, the mental conditioning by Hydra, the death of her brother, the death of Vision. Just so much this poor girl has been going through. Every part of her life, anything good in her life has been taken away from her. And she had to kill Vision, watch him be brought back to life, and then killed again. I mean, come on. Most of us who went through a tenth of that would be curled into a ball crying most of the time. I mean, the fact that she is trying is amazing. The fact that she was able to fight back and to take on Thanos and nearly beat him. If he hadn't called down an airstrike, I agree that I think she could have beat him. She is very powerful and very broken. And what is this series going to do to her? Well, is she going to be able to work through her grief, and is working through her grief how she wins this? Maybe. Does she win this? I don't know. I can't see them outright making her the bad guy. It would be really bad to have somebody dealing with all these tragedies and have issues to suddenly be made out to be the bad guy. I think that would not go well. You know, it wouldn't be very PC, I guess is one way to put it. Andrew suggests that maybe she's going to go off-world with Doctor Strange to learn to control her powers. And by off-world, Andrew may be talking about the Nexus, which was brought up in the commercial last time, the Nexus of all reality, which is the center hub of all the multiverses. It's I think that's where Doctor Strange went to when the Ancient One pushed him out of his body and made him go on that little trip, and it was quite the trip. So it is possible that he takes her under his wing and tries to train her. The questionable part about that is her powers is very different from his. The source of the power is different. How good a trainer would he be? Also, maybe Agatha would be the better trainer. Because Agatha has, well, if they're giving Agatha her actual comic history, she's been around for thousands of years, has been training as a witch for all that time. she's probably better at it than Doctor Strange. So, be interesting to see how that plays out. There, like I said, there are so many places they could go with this character. I don't want to see her made into the villain. I could totally see whatever happens here creating or shattering the walls between the multiverses. And that becomes what has to be dealt with later on. And she has to work with Doctor Strange to make that happen. I think that's plausible. I think the ending could be very Shakespearean. I don't think she gets the kids by the end of this. I'm hoping she gets the Vision. Maybe not. Maybe all of this gets resolved in, so many questions. Andrew says, so many questions. And that's good television. We are literally 2 episodes away from the conclusion. And there's all these questions. I mean, you look at The Mandalorian, which was a fantastic series that nailed its landing. And we went into the finale with the only questions being, were they going to be able to get the kid back, get Grogu back? Would they get the Darksaber? And who was the Jedi? And there was a good chance we weren't even going to find out who the Jedi was until season 3. I really thought they weren't going to deal with the Jedi until season 3. I thought it was going to be all about getting Grogu back. We're going into the second to last episode, the penultimate episode. I love that word, penultimate. And we know almost nothing. We know Agatha, or Agnes, is Agatha Harkness. We kind of knew that going into it. I mean, they didn't really hide it. They took her name and went, Agnes. So it wasn't really hiding it. We don't know what the Vision is. We know at one point he looked like his dead body, but we also saw Pietro look like his dead body, and he was never dead like that. That character never was. Aaron Taylor Johnson version was. Andrew says, really good television. I mean, I get up at 6 a.m. to watch the show before work. And you kind of have to, because if not, the spoilers are all over the web. I mean, you can't turn on any social media platform without there being spoilers everywhere. And you know what? I'm kind of mixed on that now. The internet is full of barbarians who spoil everything. And yes, that is true. But at the same time, you get so excited about a show that you want to share it with your friends and you want to talk about it. So I wouldn't call them barbarians. I think they're people that just get so excited they want to say something. There are people out there who specifically like to spoil things, and to hell with them. Maybe they get a box of rocks for Christmas. Or if they buy Girl Scout cookies, let's just let it be a box of rocks, because that would hurt. Yeah. But for the people that just get excited and want to post a little something, I posted a picture of John Wick with cocking his gun, and it just said, "I'm coming for you, Agatha." Now, I got accused of, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Well, subtle, super subtle spoiler. I mean, at that point, if you hadn't watched the episode, you didn't know she was Agatha or what she had done. But yeah, it is rough when you get a show like this. But then think about The Mandalorian and the big spoiler of the season finale, and how hard was it to not find that on your social media feed the moment you woke up? I'm glad I stayed up and watched the episode, because otherwise it would have been, I think the first 3 posts I saw showed the damn scene. So you kind of have to be you have to be defensive of it. Would it be nice if Disney moved the airtime to a time where everybody could see it? That would be kind of cool, but I don't think they're going to, because otherwise they say we release it on Friday and we're getting it at 3 a.m. or midnight, and we wouldn't. Now, I'm pretty sure tonight midnight's going to roll around and I'm going to click on Disney Plus, and I'm not going to be able to get on like last week. And it's going to pretty much just crash the system. Because if it did it last week and now we have all these extra things, we know that Agatha, Agnes is Agatha. The snooper's going to snoop. Monica has power. I mean, all these things that happened this last episode. I can't imagine how many extra people are going to stay up just to see this so they don't get spoiled or they're just dying to see it. I mean, what are we looking at now? It's 8:00 here, 4 hours, less than 4 hours the show's going to air. And I think it's going to be, I think Disney Plus is going to drop. I think there's a better chance of that than any of these other theories. I'll take Disney Plus not working at midnight over guaranteeing that Al Pacino or the engineer or the X-Men or any of these things or Two Visions or any of this other stuff. I think Disney Plus is not going to work at the time of the thing. I think it's going to be at least 15, 20 minutes or more of delay. So Andrew's got the right thing of waking up at 6 a.m., 3 hours later to watch it because But that said, I will absolutely be up at midnight clicking on Disney Plus in hopes of getting on to watch it. So, all right, guys, let's see. Any other last minute questions? Any theories you want to throw out or any thoughts before we wrap this up? I'm really looking for the episode. Like I said, I think it's going to be a bit of fashion. I think it's going to be a bit of flashback where we're going to have a lot of answers filled in. How much of it will be flashbacks? We'll see. I think we're going to find out how Wanda got into the hex, what happened when she went and got the body, whether she took the body or not. And I think we'll find out what Hayward is up to. Maybe we'll get the engineer. Maybe the engineer is going to show up and work with Jimmy to get in. I think we're going to get some answers. I don't think we're going to get the big finale. We may not get the big cameo that might be saved for the last episode. I would absolutely save it for the last episode. I would absolutely Luke Skywalker it. I would save it for the last 15 minutes and make it huge and just blow their doors off. Because they do that, people are going to pay attention, just like they did with The Mandalorian. So, Andrew says, Undead Tony Stark. Hey, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but there's always that possibility. Ashley says, thank you, so much fun. Looking forward to watching the episode and hearing everyone's new takes and theories. We will be back on Sunday with another Pop Go the Writers. Our guest this week is going to be author Paul Story, who's an old friend of mine and remarkably looks and sounds like Nathan Lane. So if no other reason, just come on and basically we're going to pretend we have Nathan Lane on the air. Andrew says, thanks, Dan. Thanks for dealing with all my postings. Andrew, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on the show 2 weeks back, or 3 weeks back now, I think. I'm losing track of time. It's COVID time. And I appreciate you being part of this. I'm hoping we get some more people. If this goes over, I'll probably do another pre-show prior to the season finale. This was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to having some more answers. I think that is going to be the best part, is hopefully we're going to have more answers and we'll be able to make more sense and we're going to get the big climactic Avengers-style ending. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think we've gone through the sitcoms, the small stuff. Now we need the big finale, and that I think will excite a lot of people and get us ready for stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Spider-Man, and stuff. So everybody have a great night. I look forward. I will also pop up tomorrow morning at some point and do my review of the episode. So click on that after you've seen it, please. Don't watch my video and before, because I don't want you hunting me down. A couple of you actually know where I live, and I don't want to die. But thank you all. You all have a good night, and we will talk soon.